Hey there Wargamers, and welcome back to another Wargames Delivered video. In this video, I'm going to show you how to clean your brushes. Let's get started. Okay, so for this video, I wanted to just give a simple guide on how I go about cleaning my brushes. I wouldn't say this is the 100% recommended way to do it, but this is what works for me. So what I like to do is prepare 2 cups of water here. So I've got one full of warm water and one full of just kind of room temperature water. In the warm water one, we'll go ahead and add a couple things here. We've got some shampoo, and we'll also go ahead and add a little bit of conditioner as well. This is just, you know, normal shampoo and conditioner for your hair. You can get it anywhere, basically, any grocery store or hair salon or anything like that. And we'll also go ahead and add a little bit of airbrush cleaner as well. And this is my secret ingredient to kind of loosen up the dried paint that's in there and really kind of agitate those brushes and work out all of the dried up paint and hopefully, you know, reform them a little bit and get those fine points back. And you will want to give everything in there a good stir, get everything mixed up and agitated there. So we will go ahead and do that very quickly here. And then we will add all of the brushes to the warm water mix that we made and let this sit in there for about an hour or so. You don't want to let it sit too long because it will start to bend the brushes from sitting face down in the water for so long, but usually about an hour to 3 hours you can kind of work with them and reform them. If you leave them in overnight, you'll definitely have some bent brushes, trust me. Next up will be to pull out our brushes and start trying to reform their shape there. So for this larger one here, it did have kind of a finer point, so we'll go ahead and start to dry it off a bit here. And we will just kind of work it with our fingers a bit and try to reform it as best as we can here. I do have a couple ways of doing this, but I like to start out by just taking my index finger and my thumb and just trying to loosely reform a point to the brush. And so after forming your brush with your fingers for a little bit, I like to use a little bit of saliva and the cold water. And I like to use that to kind of help me get a even finer point there. This helps really just kind of solidify what you want the brush to look like. And this is my other technique here, where you just kind of take a crease in your hand, any crease will work, and just kind of rub the brush into it and really try to define that shape that you want back. Now if you do this a couple of times, you can usually get a really fine point back on your brushes. This is a really good way to fix hooked tips as well. If you've got any brushes that kind of bend to a certain direction, this is a good way to fix that. I will say though that your brushes will never be good as, you know, when you bought them. That's just kind of the truth of it. Thankfully, most hobby brushes are pretty cheap and easy to replace, but this is a good way to, you know, get another 6 months to a year out of them. And as you can see with the smaller brush here, you can really do this with all shapes and sizes of brushes, and it's actually kind of easier to reform the smaller ones rather than the thicker ones to get a fine point on those. But nonetheless, you can pretty much do this on any brush. Some dry brushes are a little bit different. With those, I pretty much just try to get everything I can off with the paper towel and let those dry and kind of repeat that process if I need to. And another way to help you out if you have a little bit of an issue is, as you can see, I have a little bit of conditioner that I picked up on this brush here, and that really helps solidify it. And another trick that I like to use as well is just, you know, take the brush and lick it real quick, and that helps, you know, saliva helps kind of solidify what you're going for as well. And another tip is it's kind of easier to work with less brushes rather than what I'm doing here, which is all my brushes at once. So keep that in mind. If you have like 2 or 3 dirty brushes, that's the best way to attack this. And lastly here, we will do a kind of longer and thinner brush to show you, you know, it's a little bit easier to do on these ones, especially using the hand crease technique. These ones are really easy to reform. Usually with these, it's the hooked tips becomes the problem rather than them fanning out, but it, you know, depending on how much you use them, they can always fan out as well. So it's always a good tool to have. All of these steps, I kind of just repeat them, and then at the end, I'll take them all and dunk them in the cold water and let them sit there for about an hour. And then after that, I will go ahead and just repeat the reforming kind of steps lastly before I put them away. So that's how I clean my brushes. I hope this has been kind of helpful for you guys. Always be sure to check out the giveaway attached to the video in the top link in the description. And happy wargaming, guys.